from Minnesota taxpayers earmarked to feed hungry children wind up in the hands of a Somali terrorist group. The allegations center around a massive welfare fraud case being brought in Minnesota.
As dawn broke over the peaceful fields of Minnesota, a series of thunderous explosions echoed across the sky and flashlight beams pierced the darkness. Hundreds of federal agents simultaneously smashed through doors. Stun grenades detonated, suspects collapsed, and guns lay scattered everywhere. A massive criminal network, tightly organized like a multinational corporation with secret warehouses, command centers, and a sophisticated coordination system, suddenly suffered a fatal blow. Dozens of ringleaders were arrested, tons of prohibited goods were seized. But behind this victory lies a haunting obsession. Is this truly the end or merely the tip of an underground empire still lurking in the shadows? Do you dare step into this terrifying truth? Recall the solemn promise I once made to all of you before. We will resolutely stop the flow of harmful prohibited substances flooding in, the things that are threatening the safety of your children and poisoning this entire community. At exactly 9:30 in the evening in the city of Minneapolis, a high-ranking general of the United States Army had his identity exposed. A surprise raid took place on an unprecedented scale. Tons of prohibited substances along with countless heavy military-grade weapons were seized. Minneapolis, 9:30 in the evening. The streets sank into absolute silence as 5 unmarked trucks slowly rolled to a stop outside a dark and gloomy warehouse. Their engines emitted only very low growls, almost swallowed by the night. More than 50 elite agents from the FBI and ICE had moved into combat positions, every face tense and highly focused. No prior warning had been issued. A large metal ram smashed hard through the side door, twisting the sturdy steel frame. The agents immediately flooded inside like a torrent. A fierce gunfight lasting more than 10 minutes shook the entire building, leaving behind an atmosphere thick with the smell of gunpowder, pungent chemicals, and extreme fear. When the gunfire fell silent, the scene revealed a massive trove of prohibited substances. 2 tons of cocaine, 6 tons of fentanyl and heroin, enough to seriously threaten the entire city. Beside them were arrays of weapons, modern military standard body armor, and stacks of cash in the hundreds of millions of dollars lined along the walls. Most alarming were the classified documents scattered on the metal table. Lists of names, strategic maps, along with important signatures with the prominent name at the top of the page. General Abdul Omar, United States Army. This was clearly not an ordinary street crime case. This is a covert operation running deep within the U.S. national security system, with this incident merely the tip of the iceberg about to be exposed. General Abdul Omar, 56 years old, did not begin as a criminal. He immigrated to America as a child, joined the Army at 18 years old, and swore to protect the nation. He earned great respect in infantry, logistics, and intelligence thanks to his iron discipline and outstanding strategic talent. Rising quickly, he gained access to national secrets, military bases, and key supply lines. Many believed he would retire with honor, but ambition gradually corrupted him when he realized true power lay in controlling the system. Omar controlled military transport routes, schedules, and containers through strategic ports, secretly diverting them for smuggling prohibited substances. Aircraft carrying military equipment now bore sealed containers with fake declarations. Military trucks passed checkpoints without inspection, successfully hauling tons of drugs across borders. He expanded the empire by forming alliances with the Sinaloa Cartel, CJNG, and armed groups from the Middle East, building a transnational criminal network. To conceal it all, Omar created a perfect financial cover. Millions of dollars were laundered through investment companies, small banks, and nonprofit organizations with fully legal paperwork despite the criminal origins. This system was designed sophisticatedly to conceal the truth right in front of everyone's eyes. As his influence grew larger, he shifted from manipulating routes to manipulating people. Officers, government officials, and even judges were bribed, pressured, or persuaded that they were serving national interests. One by one, they stopped questioning his actions. The chain of command gradually fell into silence. When threats emerged, Omar did not back down at all. He allowed violence to occur to eliminate every risk. Shootouts broke out in places once considered absolutely safe. Tactical equipment, bulletproof vests, and military-grade weapons began appearing in criminal cases. Local police were overwhelmed by the criminals' superior firepower. This was not an ordinary street crime, but an organized operation with modern war weapons. The man once trusted to protect America had exploited that very system to build an underground empire. This betrayal was not just personal, but structural in nature, with consequences gradually coming to light. If you want to uncover the truth about Omar's secret network, comment "Show me" to help spread the story wider. The warehouse discovery was just the beginning. The records, maps, and bank accounts all lead to one single location: the industrial area on the outskirts of Minneapolis. The outskirts of Minneapolis appeared abandoned with rusty fences, silent hangars, and shattered lights, but satellite imagery revealed unusual activity. Trucks sneaking in and out at night, intense heat signatures glowing inside, along with heavily armed guards patrolling rigorously. This was not an ordinary warehouse, but a fortified military stronghold. Federal commanders gathered in a highly secure operations room, walls covered with detailed maps, screens monitoring live feeds from drones with red dots marking weapon and goods transport routes directly linked to General Omar. Every entry and exit was designed to resist large-scale attacks. Watchtowers, armored vehicles, hidden sniper positions. The evidence was undeniable. An urgent report had been sent straight to the White House. The detailed report listed the seized prohibited substances quantities, confiscated weapons, list of corrupt officials along with the blueprint of Omar's fortified base. The president read slowly, turning each page carefully, then stood up with a sharp voice cutting through the silence. A United States Army general has built a criminal fortress right on American soil. This is a serious national security threat. Mobilize every agency, every resource. We will take it down tonight. The order spread quickly across the country. For the first time in modern history, the FBI, the Army, and more than 100 federal agencies coordinated a joint attack. Convoys rolled out from staging areas, helicopters lifted off from air bases, night vision goggles activated simultaneously. The soldiers checked their weapons and radios one last time in the heavy atmosphere. Not excitement, but determination mixed with silent anger at being betrayed by a former comrade. At exactly 2:03 in the morning, the attack commenced. Sleek black helicopters flew low, slicing through the frigid air, drones monitoring from above, marking guard positions with glowing outlines. Tanks roared forward, charging straight ahead, smashing the main gate in a thunderous explosion, the ground shaking, steel twisting, and sparks flying everywhere. What followed was a decisive storm of violence. Agents advanced in waves with shields in front, rifles steady. Explosives blew open side doors, flashbangs turning the dark night into blinding daylight. Inside the complex was a labyrinth of fortified bunkers with laboratories and storage rooms, the air thick with the stench of chemicals. Every design was meticulously calculated. Thick walls, narrow corridors, dead angles intended to slow down attackers. Yet the special forces overcame them with iron discipline, advancing room by room, corridor by corridor, amid the non-stop echo of gunfire. The guards resisted fiercely from behind crates and steel shields, but the short and brutal battle quickly ended. The survivors lay face down, hands tightly bound, weapons scattered on the cold concrete floor. The real shock came behind the triple-lock steel door, a large-scale drug production line with stainless steel tanks, conveyor belts, and racks full of chemical drums. This was a large-scale drug manufacturing facility protected by a tight military-grade security system. Nearby, crates of ammunition were stacked next to bulletproof vests, helmets, and modern tactical equipment. A secondary command center was also discovered with surveillance monitors, strategic maps, and encrypted radios. On the wall hung an old photo of General Omar in full dress uniform, medals gleaming, shaking hands with high-ranking officers, the smile of a man who once swore to protect the nation. Now, everything had been exposed. The fortress had completely collapsed. In the darkness of the abandoned industrial area, the agents realized tonight's victory was real, but the deeper war against this corruption still had a long way to go. The fortress has collapsed, but the war against corruption has not yet ended. The destruction of the fortress does not close the case, but raises even more serious questions. Omar's network was not an isolated criminal cell, but a structure deeply embedded in the government apparatus, extending far beyond the complex on the outskirts of Minneapolis. While processing the recovered evidence, the agents were astonished at the ordinary appearance of the documents. Procurement contracts, fuel orders, maintenance invoices, nothing revealing danger. Yet every page connected directly to Omar's empire. His terrifying genius lay in disguising criminal activities within everyday administrative paperwork. The alarming signs had been covered up by bureaucratic language and official legal stamps. The deeper they dug, the clearer the pattern became to the investigators. Omar did not act alone. The documents revealed signatures from colonels, contractors, friendly greeting emails, marginal notes like urgent approval, handle quietly. These traces did not come from gangs or smugglers, but from people within the system itself. Some believed they were just doing their duty, others were convinced not to ask questions, or received thick envelopes of cash, promises of promotion, or were threatened to the point of silence. Do you believe that a U.S. Army general could betray his country to build a huge drug smuggling empire? In closed-door meetings, the phrase, "just sign it, the general said so," spread faster than the truth, becoming an excuse for every shady decision. Federal investigators interviewed dozens of officers, secretaries, and officials. Many awkwardly explained overlooking clear signs, one whispering without daring to lift his head. You don't question a decorated officer, just salute and get to work. That was the deadly trap. Omar had turned his illustrious reputation into a protective weapon. At the same time, violence outside the administrative paperwork escalated. Reports from California, Texas, Virginia, and Minnesota documented shootouts in industrial areas, warehouses, even near military supply depots. Surveillance cameras captured unmarked armored vehicles moving brazenly. Assault rifles intended for international battlefields continuously appeared in domestic cases, with serial numbers exactly matching the stockpiles under General Omar's command. Each incident clear evidence of betrayal. This was not haphazard chaos from street gangs, but actions by individuals trained in professional military tactics, formations, and war weapons. The shock spread throughout law enforcement. Local police chiefs demanded answers. Emergency meetings were convened. A veteran officer stated at a press conference, "This is not basement drugs. This is organized conflict, and someone is directing from the shadows." Behind the scenes, agents reviewed years of surveillance reports, a clear pattern gradually emerging. Unexplained shipments, equipment vanishing without a trace, fuel exceeding actual needs. Each individual detail seemed minor, but pieced together they formed a clear picture of corruption. Even judges were drawn into the network. Records revealed decisions dismissing charges against Omar's operatives, funds traced to campaign donations, court orders restricting searches under the pretext of national security. The influence had spread deeply and quietly through every level of power, without a sudden collapse, but like a curtain slowly falling, revealing a criminal stage that had always existed. The fortress destruction was just the front door. Behind it was a network already intertwined with American life. Uniforms, badges, titles, and offices all became the perfect shield protecting the underground empire. At headquarters across the country, a common realization had formed. Omar's network did not vanish after the raid, but was merely exposed, marking the beginning of a larger war, spreading to boardrooms, military bases, and courtrooms. If the fortress revealed weapons, then the accounting ledgers unveiled his true power. After the raid, forensic accountants, federal auditors, and cybersecurity experts gathered at a secure facility in Minneapolis. facing stacks of documents seized from the warehouse, offices, and hidden safes. At first glance, they were just boring paperwork, invoices, shipping orders, consulting fees. Not a single document looked like criminal paperwork, but every page carried an implicit message. Money was flowing endlessly with no one knowing the final destination. The investigative team worked tirelessly day and night, mapping bank records on a massive wall screen with red lines connecting accounts from Minneapolis, Chicago, Dallas to Dubai, each line representing transactions worth millions of dollars. What shocked them was not the scale of Omar's money, but its terrifying cleanliness. No cash or secret suitcases, but flowing through trusted organizations like financial consulting firms, logistics companies, defense contractors, and charitable funds, all fully tax compliant, paying employee salaries and sponsoring community events. These organizations blended perfectly into the American landscape, outwardly legal but in reality laundering millions of dollars from drug and weapons trafficking. An analyst whispered while examining transactions, "This is not street crime, but sophisticated corporate crime." Every shipment movement dragged along streams of money through multiple layers of disguise. Foreign port fees, maintenance invoices from military contractors, consulting costs from nonprofit organizations, ultimately flowing into secret accounts under false names or shell companies. The investigators followed the trail across continents, then arrived at a horrifying discovery. A portion of the funds originated from the United States government's own military contracts. That moment changed everything in the room. The case was no longer just about drugs or weapons. The case had struck at the core of national integrity. Funds allocated for defense, maintenance, and equipment were diverted by Omar to nurture his criminal empire, with every laundered dollar further solidifying his network. As agents traced the money trail, they uncovered even wider influence. Judges dismissing cases received generous charitable donations. Officials approving shipments had their home mortgages paid off. Retired colonels enjoyed unexplained monthly consulting fees. At first, everything seemed like random coincidences, but documents from the fortress confirmed the clear truth. Omar had built a sophisticated system of loyalty, buying and binding people with benefits rather than direct violence. Some people joined the network out of blind loyalty or personal gain, others out of fear, a few believing they were protecting national security, all contributing to blurring the line between right and wrong to the point of indistinguishability. Then, violence followed closely behind the money. Wherever funds concentrated, conflict erupted. Warehouse fires in New Jersey, shootouts in Houston, armed convoys intercepted on Nevada highways, every incident linked to individuals in Omar's financial system. Police reports were chaotic, witnesses gave curt responses, and Arizona sheriff declared, "These are not ordinary drug dealers, but real soldiers." Public trust shook severely. Press conferences overflowed with anger. Victims' families demanded answers about why war weapons were appearing in residential areas. Lawmakers fiercely questioned why warning signs had been ignored for years. In the Federal Command Center, the atmosphere grew heavier by the moment. Omar's empire was not built from secrecy, but from blind trust. He exploited his uniform, medals, and reputation to funnel money through banks, contracts, and committees, a silent, bureaucratic, polite, but extremely dangerous betrayal. The money trail did not stop at one individual, but led to countless doors of power. Each time a door opened, the investigators faced a horrifying truth. The system itself had unwittingly helped build this empire. Now, as light shone upon it, no one could be sure just how deep the darkness truly went. When the operation ended and the federal units withdrew from the fortress, the full scale of the crisis finally became clear. What remained amid the ruined walls was not just the aftermath of a battle, but evidence of a system that had been twisted from the inside. The recovered materials told a much larger story than any single warehouse could contain. They revealed a strategy, a structure, and a power that had reached far beyond the building itself. The collapse of Omar's network did not begin with explosions or arrests. It began with information. Records from multiple states, bank files from numerous countries, and signatures from various agencies all converged on one single conclusion. The deeper implication is that the presence of military-grade weapons in criminal cases indicates a systematic diversion of equipment, while prohibited substances reaching remote areas expose a professional logistics network rather than piecemeal smuggling. Local authorities gradually realized that the incidents were only the visible tip of a larger structure long overlooked. The collapse of Omar's empire forced heightened oversight, deeper audits, and multi-layered verification, even as it underscored that critical gaps had existed for years. Minneapolis became clear proof of how hidden power can hollow out a system from within. As analysts mapped people, vehicles, warehouses, and money flows, a statewide, dispersed pattern emerged, prompting a federal order for simultaneous pre-dawn raids to dismantle the entire network. From the Dawn campaign in Minnesota, the biggest lesson for us is modern crime is no longer chaotic gangs, but has evolved into professional organizations, operating like legitimate businesses with warehouse systems, communication, and tight coordination. This sophistication makes them harder to detect than ever before, while reminding us that the war on crime never ends with a single victory. No matter how powerful law enforcement is, as long as one piece remains in the shadows, that empire can be reborn. Therefore, societal vigilance is the most sustainable shield. The Dawn campaign in Minnesota ended with dozens of ringleaders handcuffed, massive warehouses sealed off, and a criminal empire that seemed invincible dealt a fatal blow. But as the smoke cleared and the sun rose high, the agents could not celebrate. They knew that behind this terrifyingly sophisticated coordination, there were still pieces hidden in the shadows, waiting for the day to rise again. Is this truly the final victory? What do you think? Has this network been completely dismantled, or is it just the tip of the iceberg? Leave a comment below, share your thoughts, and don't forget to like and share if the video gave you chills. See you in the next video.